you have any questions about that starting of the distance education, you can ask now, and then I'll go on to the evolution. Yes, ma'am.
When did it start to become international?
Our distance educational program was interactional. It was interactional because they met.
When we went to other countries. International.
When did it become international? I think we went to Puerto Rico first, and we did some work in Puerto Rico, and then we went to the Bahamas. I went there for commencement 2 or 3 times. We went to South America, to Colombia, because we helped open up a foundation there called CINDI, C-I-N-D-I. Martha Rango and Glenn Nimnick were at Berkeley. They came here to go to Venezuela on a Ford grant that we had to do educational planning. When we finished that grant, Martha, who was Colombian, wanted to go back home and do the things that we were doing. And so we helped her. She lived in Medellin, and we started in Colombia, and then from Colombia we went elsewhere. So in that region, that was the catalyst that enabled us to do some things, and I enjoyed that because I had trips down there and taught. In fact, I got an honorary degree from the University of Manizales, where we started the program as well. So it just by evolution, we ended up going there. We're now in 10 foreign countries, mainly by invitation, and it works. And we have someone who's responsible for looking at all of that for us here. So he's been recruiting, and he's been working out of the Fischler Center. So, any other questions? My colleague, you got any questions?
Saving mine.
You're saving them? Okay. We then started a third program in public administration, a DPA. John Theobald was a friend. He was at NYIT, and I asked Alex Shaw to loan him to us. He came down here for 90 days. We wrote up a program for DPA, Doctorate of Public Administration, mainly because the political process was beginning to infringe on our ability to do what we were doing. And I felt that it would be important to co-opt them by having them go through the same kind of a program that they were having, that they were critical of. The other thing that occurred was we were stopped in many states now because education is a state's right, and you have to file for a license to provide education in the state. And we had to go through review state by state. Since we didn't have any real major clients who would play the political game, we had to do it ourselves. And they would send teams around and find some reason to prevent us. The one that was most difficult was North Carolina with Friday. And he got me angry, which was a mistake, I think. Because what he said to me was, if I like the idea, but because I like the idea, North Carolina will do it and you can't come in. And what I found was that was the same group that accredited us getting permission to come in, which was the board of the North Carolina universities. So I said to myself, something is wrong. I think I have to go somewhere. So we ended up taking North Carolina into the North Carolina courts. And I got a law firm from Washington to handle the case for me. And we paraded in front of the courts, the professors we were using, the work that was being done, et cetera, et cetera. And the court of North Carolina said to Friday that you'll have to allow them to come in. That was $100,000 of expenses for $10,000 of bottom line income. So I decided, but I had to do it somewhere. Because what was important was to demonstrate a commitment on the part of this university that we felt that what we were doing was good and was producing a product that would be effective in the positions they were holding. We didn't promise we were producing principals that are going to be superintendents. What we said was the principal would be a better principal in the schools in which they were. Even though in the requirements they were meeting the superintendent's positions. That too was an interesting area. In New Jersey, students who got their credential with us were able to be principals. But those in Pennsylvania who were principals were not able to become superintendents. And so we had another exchange back and forth. So the people in Pennsylvania would apply for superintendent's license in New Jersey, and then that was reciprocal. So those are the kinds of things that we met as we were moving through and growing. But as far as students were concerned, we were operating near capacity in 2 out of the 3 programs. In the public administration one, that was, for some reason, it was the most difficult program, difficult for the participants. And we had some really tough people in that particular program as academic people. And we had about a 50% dropout in that particular program from those who started. In the other programs, after the first year, we almost had no dropouts. So those programs fit what the clients wanted. The DPA was far more difficult. And a number of them dropped out even after they started to go through that program. But then we combined that with the DBA, and the DPA, and they had some courses together, so it made it economically viable for us to keep the DBA and the DPA, but coming off with a central core. And that helped that program. In fact, we still have a doctorate in business administration, and we still have the doctorate in public administration, but off a common core. So, yes.
Can you talk about was there competition at the time? Were there other major minor universities that were doing distance education? Or were you guys almost on your own?
There really was most of them were antagonistic. There were articles that we were a diploma mill. In my own place right here, they called me the monkey farm.